Shalom, family. Glory be to God and blessed be the Lamb. And happy Father's Day. You know, I somehow in my feed was a short video about Cern, and a young lady trying to explain what Cern is, and what they were trying to do, and what they did do. But for me, that's the science, just the science aspect of it. And as with science, you know, the God would tell you, test it by your science. He's not afraid of your science. He said, use your science to test things. At any rate, supposedly, CERN, by smashing atoms into ever smaller and smaller particles, they shifted timelines. And I remember saying just a couple of months ago, one of us is in someone else's timeline. Maybe it could be, I mean, this is hypothetically, I mean, this is not the truth. Then again, it is, in a way. But one of us is in someone else's timeline. Either you shouldn't be where I am, or I shouldn't be where you are. And that means that I would come from a population that's just like me, with all of the same abilities. Now, on a scientific level, it kind of makes sense. In theory, they said that maybe they have collapsed the timeline. And I kept asking myself, what is a timeline? Because I think fairly straightforward. I go by the actual definitions of the words being used. Okay? So I had to figure out what everybody meant by the word timeline. I couldn't define it. I had to feel it like I do everything else. I can't really define these things because I've lost that level of human component. I almost have to decipher what you're really saying. At any rate, they speak of dimensions and planes and timelines and portals, doorways, all of these things. But all of this is science. And science is mostly theory until proven otherwise. All science is theory until proven fact. But anyway, in 2012, they say that everyone died. And I'm sitting here thinking, what was I doing in 2012? I know I was in a frontal, head-to-head legal battle that had engulfed and obsessed not just myself. Oh man, if only I could go back and do shit differently, but we can't. And I think it was 2012 when I reached up to open the AC vent in my ceiling. When I was about to open it, I passed out, and I hit the floor. My head missed the corner of the dresser. Man, thank you, Lord. It missed the corner of the oak dresser. Man, I could have killed myself. And it and my head hit the sheetrock. And the sound of me hitting the sheetrock actually is what woke me right back up. And the people around me said, "Are you okay?" And as usual, people always ask this question. I used to laugh at others who ask this here when they've been fainted or knocked out or something like that. They always say, "What happened?" I know I felt like a sack of potatoes. I felt hard. But anyway, I started thinking about that. And then I started remembering, around 2014 or 15, I knew something was wrong. I mean, I knew something was wrong in 2012 because it felt like a wave just came over the human population. That's the spiritual aspect of it. You didn't see it, but entities like me did. Not only did we see it, we felt it. Something did that thing that you call, or science call, shifted into another reality. There's only one reality. There's only one reality. Dimensions, like there's parallel dimensions, that someone who looks just like you in a whole nother dimension, living a life. No. That's not how it actually works. No, there's no need for all of that. That's hubris, scientific hubris. Not that I care. They'll never find evidence of that. And what you're piercing is not dimensions. You think of it this way. I said this here about, and I thought about it so hard. First, I bumped into something was wrong with the time. I don't know how I calculated it, but I spent a lot of time thinking and trying to figure it out. And I came up with 58 seconds, or was it 57? One of the two. But I couldn't figure out if you had shifted 58 seconds behind or 58 seconds forward. Now, 58 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but multiplied by 58 seconds every hour or 58 seconds every day. Now do the math on it. See what I'm saying? Are you getting it? Now, around that same time, I remember telling my friends, yeah, there was a time when I actually did have friends. Most of them run off. I understand now. I mean, this was the shit I was asking them to involve themselves in. As you can see, is some angelic demon shit, and there was no need for no freaking apostles if they know what happened to the last group who call themselves apostles. They met a very harsh fate. Anyway, I couldn't figure out if you were 58 seconds ahead or 58 seconds behind. Don't ask me the type of thought process that I used to arrive at those numbers. It was complex and deep and slow moving, and it took weeks, a few weeks for me to just put it all together. Around that same time, there was a tidal wave that hit somewhere near Bangladesh, but not Bangladesh. And it hit so hard that it shifted the earth on its axis, and the moon and the sun wasn't the same. I mean, we were in a different orbit or something now, and it wasn't rising or setting where it used to. I put that on the tidal wave, the tsunami that hit so hard it turned the planet on its axis slightly. But when you put numbers to things, you have to think in terms of magnitude, like I did with the 58 seconds. Yeah, it's only 58 seconds, so gives a fuck. Yeah, but I mean, with every cycle, that 58 seconds is added to the last 58 seconds. Now it's not 58 seconds anymore. It's something else. And it's going to keep multiplying, going up and up and up with every turn of that cycle. And who really knows the cycle? I mean, we know it's a cycle, but how long does it take it to make the turn? Get it? And until you figure that out, you got everything and nothing at the same time. And I don't think that man is capable of figuring it out. But I tried to explain it this way. In 2015, I was looking up at it from the inside of a taxi at a McDonald's sign. Not just the sign, but everything around the sign. And it looked like, how can I put it? The world was dirty. It looked like to me the world needed a good wipe. You know what I'm saying? Like it was dusty and grayish. I mean, let me extrapolate that further. The what you call realms are like pages in a book. What you call dimensions would also be like pages in a book. They're basically the same definition when you're talking about science. Spiritually, it's slight difference, but science is close, real close. Now keep in mind, I said it looked like the that the image I was seeing needed a good wipe. Why? Okay, imagine this. The universes are, not the universes, but the realms, as you would call them, are like pages in a book. Like pages in a book. God says He created the worlds. He didn't say only one world. The worlds. All of them. All of them. You are dealing with a creator, a God that is omnipotent. Meaning, like I said, if He says it, it's going to become, and if He thinks it, then it is. That's why I say there's nothing to fight here when you're dealing with something of that magnitude. Just lay down. He's only going slow because He wants to. He could just blink you away. Lord, please don't hit him anymore. I mean, you see what I'm saying? But back to what I was saying. Like pages in a book. Okay? But they're unaware. No page is aware of the page behind it or the page in front. And each page, to make things interesting, is written on both sides. Okay? But they're not they're not aware of each other. They can't be. It's against the rules. They're just part of one big ass book. The God's book or the Lord's book. Who knows? We're trying to keep this on the science level. Okay? Now, I looked at it this way. The page before was empty of you. Empty of you. It reminded me of when I tried to remove you from the earth, and I did. In my mind, I was able to remove you and the dogs and the cats and the trees and the buildings. I mean, the cars. I left the world empty. And it was black. And it was dark. But that wasn't the end. That was as far as I could take it. On the other side of that is something else. On the other side of the blackness, space, there is something else, and I could feel it, and I don't have the spiritual capability to get there. I wasn't mad, but I just don't have that capability because I'm not supposed to. But imagine this, if you will. Your world, your reality, your timeline, whatever they want to call it, is in that book. And then there's one in front and one in back. The one in front is the one we want to talk about. It looks just like your world, minus you. Everything else is there. Everything else is there but you. Now, imagine that dimension overlapping yours. Like, well, what they used to call them when I was in school. You know that they have this machine in school where you can put a piece of plastic and draw on it, and it would project the image onto the wall or the movie screen or something. I, but anyway, now think of it that way. That's your world. You can draw whatever you want on it. But then, what if I come and I overlay that? It looks just like yours. It looks just like your world. Okay? The only thing missing is you. And now you're in that world. Okay? Now you're in that world. But let's look at it biblically. Let's look at it biblically. You sometimes hear me use the word Apollyon. I be, I take digs at the devils and the demons and the evil spirits from time to time. That's the only reason why I be doing it. I take digs at them because, we have to kind of maintain some type of balance here. See, me and the devil and the rest of them, we don't believe in any of the science stuff of it. We don't even, basically, I seek to understand it. But at the end of the day, we're going to still go by the Bible, and it's interesting watching you trying to figure this shit out. Watching you trying to figure it out. That's what's interesting. Because, anyway, we're off the beaten path. We are off the beaten path. So, who is Apollyon? Apollyon is the lead, would be the king. I want to make him mad. I don't want to poke at him too many times, though. He would be the leader over what God, or symbolically, however you want to, and that's hope is symbolism. Whew. A locust that he speak of, released from the pits of hell. They didn't release themselves. One of the angels from heaven released them. And this is how this went. And what you call spirits, I guess even it's a universal word, but I don't even think of them as spirits. I think of them as consciousness when I think spirits, and yeah, I can see them. Sometimes they float right the fuck by. I just look at them. Sometimes I don't have the dark ones anymore. I think I dealt with them. Because I will go where they at, and I deal with them. They got so many times to float by here, and I can feel them. They can be angry, but we have rules. I don't mind them being here. Just play by them. The spiritual world is more communicative. Is that a word? Than you think. Anyway, the seal was broken, and the pits were opened, and out comes them, and with their king, who they were given 5 months to torment man. But when you're thinking in terms of months, they're not always thinking about your months. You die. You dealing with things that don't die. So when they say months, it's like God telling Adam that he wouldn't be coming back into the garden for what he said, 5.5 days, 5.5 weeks. And Adam didn't understand, how many days? And God had to break it down to him. Rough. What he really meant. He didn't lie to him. Anyway, these consciousness were given 5 months. Okay, I'm not going to go down the list of details and how they look, how they moved, but I call them consciousness. And This is what happened in 2012 spiritually. I told my friends, I would like to call their names, there were about 5 of them and me sitting in our den, drinking and smoking, and as we would normally be doing on the type of day that it was. And I looked at them and I said, how do I put it to them? All of you are going to die. Now, I had said this on more than one occasion to them in the same kind of atmosphere. Not quite partying, chilling, smoking a joint, and drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, sometimes coffee. Always have coffee. But anyway, I had already told them this at least three times previously. This time, one of them got a little upset, and and he said, "What do you mean? We're all gonna die. Everybody dies." I said, "You don't understand, do you?" I say, "No. You're all going to die." Now, I didn't know where that came from. I really didn't. I didn't need, God put it on my heart. No, you're going to die. But what really happened is that the exchange of consciousness, timelines. Okay, timelines. Let's get rid of that. You are stuck in this timeline. Listen, this timeline is where we crash cars at. We're going to crash this car, and you're going to be in it with me. There's no way out of it. You can fight for the steering wheel, try to jump out the back, hit me in the back of the head, shoot me right behind the ear. But at the end, this car is going to hit that wall at full speed, no matter what you do. So you just may as well sit your ass down, strap in, and hope to be one of the fucking survivors. Okay? Stop bothering me. But anyway, everything changed. Everything became predictable. And worse, I started seeing people do things that I never thought they would do. They started having beliefs and saying out loud. People that I had known for a minute were asking me shit like, whose morals? Whose morals? I thought we all understood what morals were. Not after 2012. Not after 2012. Everything went shit side. I mean, everything went to a big shit show. Shit like the Mandela effect. Yeah, you can call it what you want. But anyway, let's get back to what I'm saying. We're not going to get stuck up in this timeline stuff. I mean, if the world's biggest mainframe have already told them there's no way out, and I have told them at least 3 dozen times, there's no way out. Stop wasting time trying. It's a waste of calories. It's shortening your fucking lifespans. You stressed out all of what's anyway. So these things were given a time to torment man. At some future point, I know not when, and I don't want to know. Some things I just prefer it develop as it does, rather than me go looking for it. I know it's there. I know it's coming. But there's no need for me to know the exact place it is or the exact time that it's going to happen. That's unnecessary. It only comes. The more data, the more complex the problem. There's nothing to gain from that unless you can change the outcome. Otherwise, it's just unneeded data, and you probably shouldn't have it. Once you have it, you started thinking about it and trying to dissect it and analyze it and put it into equations that it wasn't there. Anyway, man, now, a date, a time, and that time was 5 months. But who knows what they meant by that 5 months. This way you are now. Right now. The living. But here is the problem. Here's the problem with the plan. There was a time I tried to explain it by using a science fiction character character of a Star Trek called the Borg. The Borg. When you look at a swarm, the Borg, which I want to talk about first. The Borg. The Borg is an enemy that nobody fought. You don't want to have no kind of interaction at all when you seen them coming. If you seen them coming, then you got the hell out of their way. Whole planets were known to book up and leave in spaceships rather than deal with them. It was because the Borg was not a body. They were a consciousness that refused to die. Their planet had been annihilated during war, and for whatever reason, they had learned how to retain their consciousness, and that's what they did. And they built this vast cube, huge, just floating through space. And when they seen other species, they got near them, and let's just say they could come in through the vent, and then they're in your nose and right in your body, just like that. Just like that. Now that's the Borg, and why they were dangerous. Would you have a big ass space fan? Because I couldn't think of another way that you'd defeat something like that. Yeah, you must run. Once you know they're coming, you run because they're going to take over your population, and then your population will be serving Borg interest. And the Borg have a hive mind, one mind, millions and millions of members thinking the same thing at all times. The Borg. Now, let's get back to the spiritual aspect of it. Let's look at the locust. Look at the grasshopper as it goes through the stages. Who gives a damn about a grasshopper? Cool. They write stories about grasshoppers. Grasshoppers have been used in childhood cartoons. But when the grasshopper takes a notion, or when science says again that the ingredients are right, is the right humidity, the food supply is perfect, the rain came and went at the perfect time, and now all of a sudden, all of the locusts start losing their damn mind. They start losing their mind. A locust in a field may spend his whole lifetime and do nothing but hop. Okay? Never fly because there's no need to. There's nothing to run from. Okay? But every now and then, they trip the hell out and they become locusts due to atmospheric changes in their behavior, sexuality, and molting, and the food supply is abundant, and they just started tripping. So, in that swarm, there are 3 types of locusts. All of them are locusts at that point because they're acting as a hive, that they're eating everything in sight. Plain and simple. Everything green. Period. End of discussion. And ergo, you just lost 300 or 400 acres of crop in 3-4 hours, and then they just move to the next one. And then as they move, they gather even more locusts through some kind of pheromone, and then they start to tripping with the already tripping locusts. So you'll have the hopping locusts, and then you'll have the crawling locusts. We've seen them, okay, just like we've seen them fly when they want to. We see them walk across the ground. It ain't that they That's their natural state. But they walk or crawl. Then here's the hopping locust. Now in the Bible, it says that what the what the crawling locusts have not consumed, and I may have this in reverse. The hopping locust takes, and what the hopping locust does not take. I'm sure I have it in reverse. The flying locust takes, but actually it's the flying locust takes first, and then comes the hopping locust. They take, and then what's left comes the crawling locust. You get it? The locusts are the millions of different consciousness that were already locked in the abyss. Get it? You see how I'm trying to match this up with science? Okay? And they fucked up. Don't go around smashing stuff together too hard. And like I said earlier, who gave them a thought? Well, I can only imagine when you understand that no matter what we do, we're gonna die. I can only, goodness gracious, as a people, as a collective, I can only imagine the psychological toll that would actually take on them. That's why I said expect anything, including things like Cern. But anyway, these things were meant to be for 5 months. 5 months. And I haven't attempted to dissect what this 5 months mean. I don't want to know. But I do know that it is weakening. But it's just like the Matrix. There's a couple of dangers about the Matrix. It ain't just Mr. Smith. It's worse than Mr. Smith. It ain't just his power of shape-shifting or showing up at any given moment in any body and trying to kill your ass. Okay? It's still Mr. Smith. No. There's also the other danger. Some people you unplug, and they're happy to be unplugged and become a part of the new reality, which is the reality. But then there are those who don't want to be unplugged. They resent being unplugged, okay? Because in that reality, they were what they thought they were. Maybe they were a Air Force pilot with a husband or wife and kids, a nice house and a nice lawn and a Leave It to Beaver, Cleaver type of atmosphere where everything is just funky fucking dory. And then you walk up and you unplug your ass, and now he's in the middle of a goddamn war zone having to learn things on the fly with some strange character named Mr. Smith that seems to be everybody and everywhere, and I'm supposed to trust these 10 people. Man, that's some hell of a shit to wake up to. And some of them want to kill you. They want to go back, but they can't. Anyway, demons, monsters. Again, for us, we don't think of them like that. I don't think of them like that. I mean, to us, there's that shit that go bump in the night. Well, we that shit that bump back. You ain't gonna fade us with rattling chains and bumping on walls and floating around in a dark foreboding cloud. I mean that shit is for man. On this level, we would just as soon blink at it and go on about our business. It's unworthy. Unless, anyway, these things are of the spiritual realm. Everything is spiritual. They looking for the God particle. I mean, what exactly are you looking for here? What are you missing? He said at first there was nothing. Damn. And then there was everything. because he wanted it to be. Wanted it to be. Okay? He spoke it into existence. Thought it into existence. Okay? That's the reality. That is the reality. It's a whole story that comes after that, and nothing that comes before it. First there was nothing, whatever that is. I tried to get to it when I removed you and the cars and the building and the birds and the animals and the lakes and everything completely off this planet, even the planet itself, and I was left with something familiar, the blackness. And I could never get out of it. The only way out of it was the way I came. But I know on the other side of it is the answer to every question I could have ever wanted to ask. Right over there. And I couldn't get to it. This after about 10 to 12 days of just constant, not constant focus, but it always on my mind. Where there's something I'm missing here. Something I'm missing. And I gave up. I gave up. The God particle. You mean the essence of things? The God particle. I mean, you looking for the building blocks? God particle. You looking for the building blocks. I mean, because I'm trying to understand these words. God particle. You come up with all these, and I'm looking at the definitions. One, you're using a mighty term to describe something tiny that has no power at all. It's just kind of freaking there. It's there until the creator of it does something with it. That's what you would be calling your definition of nothing. At least that's my understanding. Is that what you're looking for? Shit. At nighttime, you walking in it. Where do you think this should come from? The blackness. Everything starts in the blackness. Everything starts in the big empty. Everything starts in the darkness. Everything. Want some examples? Anybody pregnant out there? Where your baby at? In pitch freaking blackness. Quite comfortable. Except when you're feeling stressed out or nerved up by your loved ones, and the baby hears them and you. But that's another thing. Darkness. If you take a seed, put it in the ground, it brings forth food and trees. Where are you putting it? In the blackness. Everything comes from the blackness, man. Everything. The blackness, presumptively. And again, some things I haven't thought through because it's just not really necessary. It's so much I needed data, and I don't want to spend time just trying to dissect some shit for no reason when at the end I can't do nothing with the. There's nothing I can gain from knowing the answer to that question. See what I'm saying? So therefore, I just don't want to know. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to look at the math problem. I don't want to. I just don't want to know. Because once I see it, then I can't get rid of it. Now my brain is going to act like it acts. Try to figure some shit out or fit it in or do whatever the fuck it be doing. Sometimes it's beyond me. Trust me. Trust me. I know me and I know it, and we're not the same. We are not the same, okay? We're not the same. And let me say this again. There's my mind, and then there's me. And we are not the same. Anyway, Anyway, there's no getting out of what's going on. If there was a way out, I would have found it. Listen, God says, test me and trust me. I'm hey, God, you shouldn't have said it, because here I come. I'm finna look at this whole freaking plan that you got here. I'm gonna look for cracks in it. I'm gonna look for cracks all day long. Mistakes. No, not mistakes, but what you might have missed, or where shit could go wrong on the outside of your plan. And guess what? That's when I started saying, no, he thought of everything. There's absolutely, positively, no way out. And this is what that big computer, what's the name of it? God dang it, I just read about it. Anyway, this huge computer told them the same thing. There's no way out. At the end, boom. Boom. Who knows what boom is? But boom. Boom can take many different forms. And they usually take multiple forms. But boom meaning the end. The end. Basically, the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
The end. So, if I'm here, I would love to know how the scientists even think of me. Okay? You have to factor me in. And like I said, either you're not supposed to be here, or I'm not supposed to be here. But that's a lie. The truth of the matter is, everyone is exactly where they should be at this very moment in time. I am Source. I am 7. I am 1.